What the evidence is a cancer that has consumed so much of America's political life by elevating the worst amongst us to some of the highest positions of political power. And when they get there, because they are unprepared, they are disordered personalities, malignant narcissists, ignorant, and in some cases, just plain dumb. They are easy to fool, easy to lie to, easy to dupe, and easy to trick. That's why these two men, these two chairmen, are talking about their colleagues being under the influence of Russian propaganda. It is April 11th, and there are 208 days left until the American people will choose the next American commander-in-chief. This is the warning. Mike Turner from Ohio is the chairman of the House Republican Intelligence Committee, and his colleague, Mike McCaul of Texas, is the chairman of the House Foreign Relations Committee. The two men said something totally obvious, but still rather remarkable. What they said is that Russian propaganda has influenced, has penetrated, has affected their colleagues. Think about that. Russian propaganda has reached its way into the House of Representatives and into the Republican cloakroom, where it has swayed the opinions. Now, what does this mean? What is Russian propaganda? Is it a magical elixir, a secret element, some type of enigmatic powder that wafts through the vents? It's none of those things. What it is carefully constructed and packaged lies. And those lies have merged and melded with Donald Trump's MAGA lies. There is a practical effect, an outcome, a cause and effect, a consequence for a society when the President of the United States, over 4 years' time, lies by documented count more than 35,000 times to the American people. The incessancy and constancy of the lies has a practical effect in the end. What it does is it erodes the ability of normal people to distinguish what is real and what is not, what is true and what is fake, what is false and what is real, what is the lie and what is the truth. And the distinguishment between what is the lie and what is the truth is elemental in a democracy. Because in a democracy, it is the people that are sovereign. Specifically, the American government is constructed on the basis of a republic, of the people, by the people, for the people. If the people can't tell what is real, can't tell up from down, down from up, red from blue, blue from red, then we are in big trouble. Democracies, the United States in particular, are constructed on truth, on elemental truths about the dignity of the human being, about the supremacy of the individual over any collective. These ideas about the dignity of life are perhaps most clearly and best manifested in these words from the American Declaration of Independence, that all men are created equal and endowed by a creator with certain inalienable rights, among them life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. This is a truth, an inalienable truth that is at the center of the idea that created the United States of America, which has endured for nearly 250 years. But there are other ideas And every one of those ideas subordinate the dignity and then the freedom and the liberty of the individual below the power of the state or a party or a man or all three acting together in concert with the man declaring that I am the party declaring that we are the state. When this happens, it's a recipe for atrocity and evil. The most famous examples of lies overwhelming reality, consuming the world in a fire of rage and hate and violence, was what happened in Europe during the 1920s and 30s and 40s with the rise of the Nazis in Germany and the genocide they perpetrated and committed. All of it was built on a mountain of lies and delusions. Lies that the Germans were a superior race, a master race, and that all around them were lesser people. Some of them needed to be annihilated, exterminated, while others simply could exist as slaves. The German people would live in a paradise of open space in an agrarian society where they would multiply, having many, many children, while all around them slave laborers would till the soil in their perfect utopia. It was madness, but this idea, like all of the other ideas, all of the other isms, at its core is built around a lie. And that lie is always sold on the belief that a man, a party, something can cure all the problems by blaming it on some type of common enemy. Always the easy scapegoat. For the Nazis, it was the Jews, who made up 1% of the German population and were held liable by the Nazis for all the wrongs that had come to Germany from the defeat in the war of aggression. Everything was blamed on 1% of the population. Today, there are similar lies being told by an autocrat, by a dictator who is waging a war of aggression, of violence, a war that involves kidnapping children and shipping them east, a war that involves systemic rape and murder and brutality, under the premise that the nation of Ukraine does not exist. This, of course, is a lie, and the lies that support it, the fake history that embodies it, are what Russian propaganda is. The notion that the war that is being fought is some type of reaction defensively by Russia to a greedy and overexpansive NATO. The notion that this is repeated on the floor of the United States House of Representatives and in the Republican cloakroom, this propaganda, this lie by a foreign enemy at the disadvantage of our democratic ally and the cause of freedom, is something that should be sickening to all Americans, because to fall for propaganda requires you to be something. It requires you to be a dupe, a fool, a vessel that can be tricked, manipulated. And so when you see people like Marjorie Taylor Greene and all of the loons and all of the cynics who have been so easily manipulated by the Kremlin, remember this, that their manipulation has made life more dangerous for all of us, for all of our children, for all of the people in the world, because it serves violence. It serves the cause of dictatorship that is attacking a people who wish to be free, who wish to have their own language, their own traditions, their own customs. When two Republican chairmen say, when we look around, what we see are our colleagues who have been overcome, who have become dupes to foreign lies by a hostile country that has been our enemy for 80 years, trying to undermine America's standing and place in the world, which is the linchpin and the guarantor of peace and security, not just for the American people, but for all people. Understand what these comments mean. Understand the honesty of them, how important they are, what the evidence is a cancer that has consumed so much of America's political life by elevating the worst amongst us to some of the highest positions of political power. And when they get there, because they are unprepared, they are disordered personalities, malignant narcissists, ignorant, and in some cases, just plain dumb. They are easy to fool, easy to lie to, easy to dupe, and easy to trick. That's why these two men, these two chairmen, are talking about their colleagues being under the influence of Russian propaganda. All propaganda is immoral because all propaganda is a lie. We must remember this and understand that even when it comes from two complicit Republican chairmen, that when they tell the truth about the infestation at hand, that we must take it seriously. There has never been an era in American life where there has been more voracious foreign influence directed openly at American policymakers with no rebuttal and no consequence. Whether it's the army of Saudi agents and Qatari agents and influence peddlers representing who knows what dictator, who knows what oligarch from where, that are all over Washington, or the obvious efforts of the Russians, which are parroted every night, a mere shadow of what you can see on Moscow, on Fox News, lie after lie after lie, madness after madness, conspiracy after conspiracy to the American people. That's what Russian propaganda is. And in the end, it's lethal. Because in the end, what it seeks to do is to smother the flame of liberty with a wet blanket of lies that bring on the darkness, that subjugates the human below the jackboot of the state. And the American people's answer to that proposition has always been, for 248 years, never. Give me liberty or give me death. That has been the American position, and let it always be so. Thank you for listening to my political commentary. If you like what you heard today, please also consider subscribing to the Warning daily newsletter on Substack.